Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are watching us from. As you can see, what happened at the Supreme Court, this was the D-Day. Everyone was expecting something positive, but you saw what happened. Before I read that out, I want to let the whole world know that the federal government is not interested in what happens with Southeast region. The federal government does not care if the people of the region are dying. The federal government is only concerned about what they will take. Please note, I have reason for me to ask for Nnamdi Kanu's release. And I have, reasons that if you look at it, you will be able to say, this is right. His release is necessary. Everything is not about the army authority and this and that. Now let's look at today's judgment before I come to tell you why I took my stand. According to updates from the Supreme Court, there was several irregularities committed in the case of Nnamdi Kanu. That is an admission. They admit certain things went wrong. Nnamdi Kanu is the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. He was brought into Nigeria from Kenya by means of extraordinary rendition. So that ruffles everything for the federal government, for the prosecution. That has to be settled before anything proceeds. Federal government admits that. That was a good start. The federal government said due process wasn't followed to bring Nnamdi Kanu back to Nigeria. And that was what the lower court also held onto. They said there is no case as far as he was brought in the wrong way. He has no case to answer. That has to be settled first. And in anywhere you go, that is what the court will tell you. Why did you bring him in illegally? So federal government notes, the Supreme Court admits that. I kept calling the federal government because I know that they superimpose on this Supreme Court or the appeal, whatever they rule. And forget about this judge has said release him. Okay, normally the courts are supposed to be independent. But in the case of Nigeria, we are aware the court is influenced. And some of the time you see their body language as if, they're going to do the right things. All of this admittance today, they started well. He was, the way he was brought into the country was wrong. They admitted, okay. So according to them, due process was not followed to bring Mazi Nnamdi Kanu back to Nigeria. Also, the appeal court has already acquitted and threw out the criminal charges against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu simply because of the manner he was brought back to Nigeria. So the government admitted that. Now, let's proceed to the order. So according to the reports, the federal government has also taken into account the invasion of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's house by the Nigerian Armed Forces, which is unconstitutional. You could say one thing led to the other. Provocations and provocations. Some of the times you were forced to react. You were pushed to the wall. So in 2017, remember what happened during the Operation Python Dance? There was an invasion which was illegal. He had a court appearance too that is coming forward. And he had plans to go to the court. He has not absconded. But prior to the day of the court, the Nigerian army struck in Abia, Isiama. That was again another problem with the whole thing. So what happens? At the end of today's ruling, the case was referred back to the Federal High Court. What do we expect? Now listen further. Note, that judgment which acquitted him, the Supreme Court has set aside that judgment. It's like, shove this aside. We don't really care. he was acquitted. That was in on the 13th of October 2022. They have set it aside. So everything is now put forward. Their latest ruling is what is to be followed according to them. And the Supreme Court also noted that the bail of Nnamdi Kanu ought not have been revoked. So what next? As well as his home invasion, just like we said, in 2017, 14 September. And it's illegal. Meanwhile, they said Nnamdi Kanu is liable and eligible to stand trial. So, you know what that means at the end of today? At the end of their ruling today, that he will stand trial irrespective of whatever has happened. That he had a case to answer. They said he is eligible, he's liable to stand trial. Now here is what I want to say in rounding up. Here is why I said the Nigerian government, which I know has inspired the court, because I know that the federal government has the power to set him free in the kind of setting we have here. Now I am very sure, like we've known, this judgment was inspired by the federal government. So whatever the ruling is, it was inspired by the federal government. Nnamdi Kanu will be back in custody. That is it. And he is going to stand trial according to, a lot of people were expecting today that he'll be freed. Now, this is what I want to say. Because of the rendition of Nnamdi Kanu, IPOB introduced a sit at home. Which the leadership shortly withdraw. But Simon Ekpa autopilot continued. I am not judging the sit at home now or Simon Ekpa. No. Listen carefully. Every government in Southeast have tried to quench the sit at home, and none of them could. Not even the federal government could quench the sit at home. And the sit at home is biting hard on the economy of the Southeast region and biting hard on the common people. So what is the federal government supposed to do at such times? The federal government should consider holding Nnamdi Kanu further. And the sit-at-home continues to harm the region. Not just the sit-at-home alone. Insecurity associated with that. Several groups came up. They picked up arms. They were doing all sorts of things. Some are not even linked to IPOB. But a lot of things came up. Southeast is like a no-go area. Even this festive season, a lot of people are afraid to travel. So, will the federal government, because of one man, continue to punish the Southeast? Let's assume he's even guilty. There's a place diplomacy plays in. A wise government will listen to the cry of many Southeasterners. Certainly that the federal government has not been able to, even the state level, they have not been able to stop the sit at home. They know certainly that releasing him ends the sit at home at once. Now they are still keeping him. Now, a government that does like this, does the government love the people? Like I used to say, they don't care about our region. What they do is only exploit us and give us what is due us from the allocations. They don't care if we die. If you have not been able to stop the sit at home, then why not consider what will stop it, which is releasing him? If not for anything, but for the sake of the people of the Southeast who are dying, who are facing one of their greatest insecurity in the history of the region. Do you know how many people have died because of this? Top people in the society, the common people, do you know how many people have died? And the government is not wise. Some of the times it's not about law, or this and that. Some of the times you consider the people, you become diplomatic. You use your sense. Like I told you, the government has not been able to stop the sit at home. And there is a key to ending the sit at home and making the region, at least quelling the violence, the insecurity in the place. The release of Nnamdi Kanu will stop it at least 70%. Well, this is like an advice to this government. If you really care about the people of Southeast and what they are facing right now, you need to act wise. This is an advice. It's no longer about whether he committed a crime or not, but saving the people of the region. Please, viewers, share this video widely. The federal government needs to see it. Maybe it will talk sense into them. If the federal government really care about the Southeast region, they will do something to save the people of the Southeast. Since they're not being able to stop the insecurity, which has heightened because of the sit at home, and everything associated with it, why not take the diplomatic step? Everything is not about gun shooting and killing, arresting. The case of Nnamdi Kanu is a case of freedom fighting. There is a way it's handled. The agitation group wasn't this tough before, but because they were met with toughness, and look at what we're facing today. The federal government should be wise.